Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Eric, also known as New Era Panda. I'm joined with Brandon and Tony, Tony16. Or is there underscore?
There's an underscore.
Oh, okay. Where is it at?
In between the L and the T.
Okay, Tony16. We're super button bashers. Hopefully you guys enjoy, everything we have to offer. If you do, hit the subscribe button. And how are you guys doing today? It's another day for fun.
It's doing good.
Entertainment, gaming, a lot of stuff going on this past week. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Feeling good for Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. And it is hump day, so it's always good. Let's just go ahead and dive right on into it. One of the many things we just heard about recently is the Xbox coming out with a discless. That's like a weird word to say.
Discless.
Discless. I feel like I have to emphasize that discless console.
it's very close to sound like dickless.
It doesn't have a disk drive anymore, so it kind of works in that direction.
Pretty much, yeah.
But what are you guys' opinion on it, Tony? What do you think about the diskless Xbox?
It's like a matter of time. I think that they tried doing that with the launch of PS4 and Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about it and people weren't having it, but now, 10 years later, I think majority of the people, it's like you have Game Pass out, which you're paying $10 a month for
a digital library
of games. PlayStation has their, PlayStation Now?
Yeah.
Where it's all digital games. So I think that is more like kind of the direction I think they're going for.
Brandon?
I want to address those two things because I think that they're easily equated. I want to say, first of all, a discless console I don't think is ready. We're not ready for that. And I think the majority of people are not ready to be able to play games digital only. I think, although it's good idea and concept, we have our phones. Everything's downloaded on that console-wise. But for Xbox and PlayStation, the games are so heavy. You're talking about 50 gigabytes installs. It's really crazy for people that have slow internet. It's going to be disastrous.
Yeah, I think that plays a huge role, like you said, the internet, because, I do know people that their internet isn't as fast, and names will remain nameless, but, it is crazy because, there is a lot of places that don't offer the good enough internet where, okay, so let's say, a new game's coming out tonight, but you have to start downloading at 9 o'clock, well, the person that has 1,000 gigs is going to be able to download it within, 10 to 15 minutes compared to the person that barely has a gig or even a couple of 500 megabytes, whatever it is. They're going to be waiting until the next day.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I agree. I do want to address, though, PlayStation and Xbox have two different, I think, strategies when they're talking about digital release. So, PlayStation Now, because the architecture of the PS3 was so poor and developers had such a hard time for it, developing for it, the PlayStation 4 couldn't be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 3. The Xbox One, however, as people know, was able to be backwards compatible with the Xbox 360, and they just didn't make it happen. There's a difference between those two, and I think the strategies follow that. Xbox is releasing a digital service for all of their games, period. Like Netflix. Subscribe to us, and you get a library of games, new and old, and sometimes that's a great value. And see if these came out. A lot of people wanted to get the pass just to try to see if these without buying it. So
true.
But then, just like a lot of people all of a sudden get their 30-day subscription for HBO when the new season of Game of Thrones comes out. Then PlayStation, however, the whole point of PlayStation Now is to be able to have access to PlayStation 3, 2, and 1 games because PlayStation 4 is not backwards compatible with those. So they don't have a ton of PlayStation 4 games on PlayStation Now. It's all old games. So they're a little different, but I think the idea of those games being a little bit smaller download size compared to Xbox, which allows you to download, which is pretty cool, but
it just reminds me of AOL back in the days where you had a month and then you had to go and find another disc.
Yeah.
But hold on. Oh, I'm about to be canceled. Let me go find another disc. So I kind of feel like it's gonna. What about you, Tony?
I have no reason. I like it. I enjoy it.
Tony's the positive out of all of it.
He's got good internet, so
I know. He's like, I don't know what you guys talking about. I'm flaunting.
I look at my waiting to download games, and there's 400 games in there. I was like, damn, what should I play today?
What's the price point going on this one? I forgot.
$250 for this.
$250 for a discless.
Regular price though.
Now, but are see, I don't really know too much about it. I didn't look into it. like the specs of it though? Like, is it compared to just a
One or
it's
an Xbox One S?
That's
it's
it?
not an X. It's an Xbox One S.
What a disappointment!
But for $250, you don't get a Blu-ray player. You don't get a CD player. I don't know if this Xbox plays regular CDs, right? I don't know if it does.
Yeah, I mean it should.
Yeah. And DVDs.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that's
everything.
That means there's 3 options you don't get with it. 3 different.
It's gonna be like how 360. What if they try to come out with like the external, like disc
that you can play? HD player.
Yeah, remember they had that one coming out.
And so at that point,
that failed.
At that point, you should buy Xbox.
Well, that failed because there was the HD DVD failed because there was 2 different markets going on with Blu-ray and HD DVD. So that failed because HD DVDs failed.
I'm an Xbox guy. I mean, I grew up with PlayStation, with PlayStation 1 and 2. The 3, I didn't get into, like, way later because I just never got it. But, what about this PS5, though?
I don't know what any of this
I was like,
say.
what do you know about the PS5, Brandon?
So, Sony just announced a few confirmed rumors for the PS5. They've also announced a few of the what to expect from the specs. That way... there's a lot of speculation on the internet, so they're just like they're not going to be an E3, and so instead they just decide to directly release it. We know for sure, and this is kind of an answer to Xbox. I feel like we know for sure that there's going to be a disc-based console. They're still keeping proprietary medium discs. We're looking at something like 8 gigabytes of RAM, which should be for both consoles, not exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah.
They're also talking about. I've heard things about 8K, which people haven't even adapted to 4K yet, so it's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, it's a little early for that.
PCs are not many games are 8K compatible, so there's 8K monitors are super expensive, but apparently we're supposed to have the capability of doing that, so it's trying to be a little bit forward thinking with that. But those are some of the things that I know that are exciting to me. The architecture of the PS5 is going to be based the same architecture as PS4. What that means is that we can guarantee, that there's going to be backwards compatible with PS4. And I think that's the biggest thing about it to me. Specs aside, as long as I can play my PS4 games on PS5, we're fine.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Like, I would buy it because unless there's another exclusive Street Fighter game, because that's the only reason why I bought a PS4.
Damn.
I mean, I've always wished that they would come out with something that's like upgradable, like how it fits your needs. Like, give me like a base model of a console. Where, and I thought the Xbox One was going to do this when they introduced, like, Scorpio, which was give you the base of what it is, and then, you could play 1080p, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you want to upgrade yourself to 4K? Well, this is the graphics card that you need to transfer out. You pop it open yourself, you do it, you're reliable for everything that happens to that console.
At that point, you just get a PC, I guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, because a lot of times people don't want to invest the money. I mean, even though gaming PCs are a little bit cheaper now to build than they used to be, like when they were like thousands, now you could build the same for like under $1,000. If you had a console with it, because people do strictly want to stay to console, they don't want to go to PC. They, if you have something like that where you could incorporate upgrades on whatever it is, I think that might be something interesting that they could incorporate into business.
It could be cool. I think one of the immediate downsides to that I can think off the top of my head is the fact that developers make games, because the point of console is that there's you're working with a slate that you completely understand what you're working with. You're making a console with these specs. Your games are going to run good on these specs. So if you have a console that has multiple variations of what the specs can be, the problem with that can be that developers don't know exactly how to make a game for that console because the specs vary between users. Where PCs is the same problem already, which is why I prefer console for most games, not every game, but PC is the same problem. That's why so many games have problems with PCs. People can't run games, things like that, because it's so hard to develop a game that has a downscaling, upscaling system already made for PC. So if you just you don't have the right hardware, your game just doesn't work. And I would hate to see that come to console. The whole point of console is that we have a one size kind of fits all. Everyone knows what they're getting, and it's similar across the board. Maybe. I don't know.
I can see that. I mean, okay. So then I just, I put myself up here. I was like, this would be kind of cool. You're just like, let's bring it back down a tad bit. Let's.
No. I
didn't see that as a bad way. No, I'm just like, I didn't think about that. That's actually a good idea.
You don't want to make it too complicated to where it starts to exclude people, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, because there's too many roads then.
I'm sorry, you paid for the low budget package. You can't play that game because there's going to be no game the whole thing is all
You're playing
developers.
Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
like Minecraft.
All developers want their game to look the best,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why, like, you know, they have something.
I just want consoles to have.
Cross-play.
I want them to come with 4 USB ports so we can plug in 4 controllers.
Oh,
I know they're wireless, but
I mean, like a Nintendo 64, you just have to put 4 connections in there.
how dope was that, Dreamcast?
Oh,
That's so
dude.
sick.
I thought when I saw it, I was like, "This, I don't need a fucking adapter. I can plug
I would just go
controllers in
straight
already."
forward into it. I mean, because then the games back in the days was like, I mean, well, 64 is not considered a 64 anymore. It's considered a GoldenEye system because that's all people played on it was 007 GoldenEye.
I mean, Pokemon Stadium. Let's not get carried away.
That was a good one.
That was a great game.
I remember playing
I like
Pokemon Snap.
Oh, Pokemon Snap was awesome. I was
Legit.
like,
Now
throwing apples at him, like, oh!
Yeah, now this is like completely off topic, but here's my question with that. Do you guys remember that you were able to print your pictures out from Pokemon
There was
Snap?
a printer you can buy.
Now, where was it at? Now, this is where I always got confused. Was it, now this is going to sound old, is it Blockbuster or Hollywood Video that actually
It
had...
was Blockbuster then.
Was it Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
you
your
said-
memory card.
Yeah, that's
right.
what it was. And you got to print out... Because I remember
You should
having
probably
like, those
YouTube.
little
You could probably
stickers.
YouTube the video for
Bro,
it.
like,
commercial.
do you remember your Game Boy Advance had not Game Boy Advance, regular Game Boy Color had a printer thing too that you could buy for it.
Oh, damn. I remember that too.
Crazy.
The camera was supposed to be like all banging. No, nothing close.
Right,
2
right.
megapixels.
You gotta go?
Yeah, I
All
gotta
right,
call
guys.
him.
Tony has to leave for a bit, but don't worry. You still have me and Brandon here.
I had to get the finger test from the doctor.
All right, get out of here, Tony. I mean, like, is there any games coming out that you could think of that you're just like, oh man, like I can't wait for this game to come out?
So many, man. As you know, I'm a PlayStation fan, so you know we have a good mix here. But
I'm still like this.
PlayStation fan. So we have, first of all, you know, PlayStation just released their experience, their kind of PlayStation experience, their live 30-minute, kind of disappointing, but still kind of like okay, I guess. No Man's Sky VR looks phenomenal. That's all I wanted that game originally when it came out because I imagined it in VR. No, for no other reason. Excited for that now.
I'm gonna say I thought that game did like poorly though.
It
As far as
did.
the game wise.
It did, but it did poorly for the same reason Street Fighter did poorly. Nothing that was promised actually came out with the game. Sucks. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Last of Us 2. I'm excited for...
Surprisingly, I've never played The Last of Us. But then again, I don't own a PS4, so that kind of makes sense. Or is that the one that came out on PS3, or is it always originally PS4?
It was always a PS4 game.
Okay, yeah, so that's why I haven't played it. It looks great, though. I've heard nothing but great stories about that one.
It's one of the best games. I think a lot of people say this, but... And I don't want to just add to, you know... But it really is one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. Had an effect on me. I won't say I'm like super hyped about it as some people are, but when you play a game like that, you remember forever. It's not a game that leaves you quickly.
Nice. What's like your biggest memory of that? I'm pretty sure everyone that's watching this have already played it.
He's like, what are you talking
about? If not, then like I said, I know nothing about it. So I mean, I'm just kind of curious. Like, is there a moment in that game where you're just like, oh my god, like this just like broke my heart type of ordeal?
Well, I think okay.
Or is
So
that a spoiler for anyone who hasn't played it.
I'll say this: if anyone's ever played the Uncharted series, Last of Us made by developer Naughty Dog, everyone kind of knows. But so if you came off of Uncharted, right? We just got done with Uncharted 3, and they're coming out with this new game called The Last of Us. We're like, oh, okay, cool. And the tone was completely flipped on its head. So I think my to answer your question, one of my memories of that game was originally playing it, getting to about 3 to 4 hours and being like, this is dark, nothing like Uncharted. And that was one of my biggest impressions because I just expected it to be another Uncharted game. So I don't know. That was my biggest thing. I don't want to give spoilers about the story or anything, in just in case most of you played it. We're 3-4 years after Last of Us about, so.
Damn, that's a far time.
Maybe 2-3 years, yeah, actually.
What other games? I mean, I already have like a little baby list of like games that I'm waiting to come out, which now that I think about it, it's not really a list, it's more of a rumor. But like,
What do you think?
So for me, it's like, now I just saw this online, so I don't know if it's true. I mean, you guys could look online for yourself. Supposedly that Best Buy's, some of their SKUs or something got leaked. And two of the games that got leaked in the SKU, one of them is Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Switch. That they're gonna bring all those games to the Switch, which I'm super stoked because
dope.
I fiend a lot of time on those Metroid Prime games. I remember just sitting there playing that. Same time Resident Evil 4 was out on GameCube. I was playing all those games. And then the second one, which I don't care how many times this game has come out, I will buy it every time, is Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Oh yeah, one of the best Zelda games ever made.
Dude, I bought it
for Switch.
Yeah. So like for me, it's just when it comes down to like the retro and nostalgia stuff, I'm huge on it. I am one of those people that like Final Fantasy VII, for example. Final Fantasy VII, for anyone that doesn't know yet, came out for the Xbox and for PlayStation, which originally, when it was Squaresoft, came out for PlayStation 1. What was it, like 3 discs when it first came out? Final Fantasy VII? Was it 4?
Yes, it was.
Jesus.
Wait.
No, it was. I think it was
8 was
3.
4. 8 was 4.
I think 4 was 8.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So Final Fantasy VII came out, which I've bought it. I think I bought I forgot how many times. So I bought it on Xbox, and I was like, okay, I'm going to play it on Xbox. I haven't even touched it on Xbox yet. I bought it on the Switch, $15 each. I've been playing it on the Switch more than I play on the Xbox because it's portable. You know, how often do you get a game that came out like in 97 or something like that where my niece is named after, everyone calls her Aerith, but when she first originated was Eris, which is Aeris, and that's her middle name is Eris. And I remember when that came out, my brother told me, oh, if I ever have a daughter, I'm going to name her after her because that was his all-time favorite character, which is still crazy.
It affected so many
years later, man.
I played that game when I was like 8 or 9, or maybe like 10 or 11, and still affected by that to this day.
Well, yeah, I used to watch my brother play, and I used to be like, this game is crazy. And, you know, like, it's turn-based, but it was still amazing. And then, you know, like I said, as an adult, I'm going to buy it as many times as I can. But, I mean, that's what I'm excited for. I was excited for 7 to come out. It's already out. Kingdom Hearts, I was a huge fan that it was coming out, but disappointed in how the game was.
Yeah, same.
But, I mean, that's all I could really think of. I mean, we got, speaking of nostalgia, we have Mortal Kombat coming out.
11 that comes out next Tuesday.
You know anything about that? I know nothing about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean, as a avid fighting game player, of course, I'm up on a little bit of Mortal Kombat, and so it's interesting. They're changing a few things. Mortal Kombat this year, they're going to kind of like a cooldown system for your meters. So you know how like Overwatch, your meters will cool down on a timer, and like you can use your ult when your ult's ready. Mm-hmm. Typical fighting games have conditions usually to the meters. Like let's say you do attacks, it builds one of your meters. You get hit, it builds another one of your meters. And that was kind of like a typical ebb and flow of games that started with Street Fighter, probably Super at the time, and so Mortal Kombat 11 is doing a cooldown. So now your meter builds on a timer, and it'll change everything because it's not the first fighting game to do this. There was like an indie game released maybe 2017, 2018 that I remember playing like at Evo that had kind of a similar system. And real simple fighting game. It was all about thinking, but MK11's taking maybe a page out of that a bit. So we'll see how it ends up being. That's going to change a lot.
I mean, I did watch the videos. If anyone hasn't watched it yet, of all the fatalities, which is fucking insane. Seems like a lot of head being severed off. Like, for some reason, I feel like there's always some type of head being severed or impaled with something. But, I mean, if Bush has something right now, just watch a few clips of them because these things are getting brutal. And especially when you think about, like, where we came from, Mortal Kombat coming out from the arcades to, like, now with the new graphics, dude. These kids nowadays are getting spoiled when it comes down to the gaming stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But then again, as adults, we're just like, oh, yes, like, you remember back in the days? And you always see those videos where it says, like, it'll show, you know, the evolution of how it goes to how it was. Because I believe I read something said that 10 was kind of not up to expectations.
I don't know. I mean,
I thought it still looked great, but I mean, I've only played it a few times.
I think 10 I think that people didn't like 10 for other reasons gameplay wise than its presentation, because presentation was amazing. Mm-hmm. Injustice 2, I know it's not Mortal Kombat, but the same developers, was probably like the best looking fighting game. Just still to this day, I can't think of a better looking fighting game than Injustice 2. And now at this point, Mortal Kombat 11, honestly, is the best looking fighting game I've ever seen. So they got that going for them.
Because Injustice originated on the Xbox 360, I think, right? when it first came out.
Yeah, last gen, yeah.
Yeah, and even that for like its time, just it looked amazing.
And if you go back and look at it now, it's garbage. Weird. It's so weird.
It's just it gets all pixelated. It's not as sharp, I guess. Like I said, we're starting to get spoiled, man. When it comes down to like new stuff coming out, I mean, when I heard about the consoles, like new consoles, I was like, really? Like we're barely getting started. Like I literally just bought an Xbox One X. What did it come out last year, or something like that, or like a little bit previous before that.
Yeah, Xbox One X came out in like 2017.
Yeah, and I remember getting that, and I was super stoked because I'm not the type of person to always have the recent consoles. But when that one came out, I was like, I have to get this console. Like, no matter what. Like, I lay away. I don't care what it is. I'm going to get that console, dude. So, it's just like, I feel like the market is just going too fast. And everything's getting rushed. And there's going to be a lot more bugs. And there is going to be perfection on a lot of stuff. Like, with VR, it was starting to make its little thrive up. And now it's kind of just still. I mean, I know they're starting to make stuff with it. Like, with the Switch coming out with the Switch Labo that has the VR. For Breath of the Wild and Mario. It's a little thing. PlayStation VR. I don't know if it ever came out. I don't know if you know. There was supposed to be a Star Wars VR game coming out for PlayStation. I don't know if that ever got released.
No, not that scene.
There's that one. And then Xbox was supposed to be partnered with Oculus. Which we haven't seen any type of like collaboration as far as like home console.
Yeah, Xbox was going the whole AR thing. And I feel like that's been mostly dropped too. I think Sony's kind of dominated VR games right now. It's PlayStation VR is the best selling VR like headset. It is a lot cheaper entry price. It's not Oculus quality and it's not Oculus capabilities, but it sells pretty well. And like, so I mean, I think there's a future in VR. I just think that we have to temper expectations because for VR to be really good, it probably does need to be Oculus price range, Oculus quality. You have to have a lot of space, so there's a lot of requirements for VR to be good.
Yeah, because like HTC Vive, that thing I remember. I think it was at E3. I tried an HTC Vive and they only had it. It was like hosting this certain type of headphones, and I forgot how the headphone was, but it had to where there were so many little speakers built into it that if something was literally like right here, I would know it's literally right above my head compared to if it was like right here, like the distance and stuff. And it used to have the program that they had me test, which had the HTC Vive handles, which I would have to grab a certain like instrument, and I would put the instrument, and the closer I got it to my ear, the louder it got. And I could hear a certain song.
That's cool.
And I would be able to throw it. I'm like in this black abyss of a room. So I would throw this one box that has a certain beat going, toss it, and it would go like to the corner, and I would hear it like go from loud to like slowly fading away. Like it was actually running away from me. And I was like, crap. And then you would get like another one and put them together, and they would be playing the same song, just different like parts of a song. So I was just like, what? And that's another thing that makes me trip out when it comes down to like the whole technology. Like, you know, what we're coming up with, we don't need disc anymore. You know, everything's going to be running off of clouds now. The graphics of everything is getting to the point where it looks like it's real life. So I mean, it just trips me out, man. Like this past week of everything that's coming out, I want to say it's like 15% scary, but at the same time it's like really exciting to see where we're going to go with. Like you said, like with 8K, I'm barely adapting to 4K, and even that's like looks like it's right in front of you. It's like you have a box and you're just literally watching something in a box.
It's just crazy to me because I think what it is graphic fidelity. It's already reached where it needs to be, but that's for us, you know, like I feel like I wonder if if you grew up and you were playing like if you're a kid playing 360, right? Now it's going to be different because your expectation of graphics is a little different. When you were just like, I mean, first time I saw Shenmue, I was just like, well, goddamn. Like I remember having thought, even Final Fantasy VII, we were talking about that. I remember having a thought like, these are the best graphics I've ever seen, and like
the movie clips that they would do.
This is it, yeah. And I thought it's never getting better than this, and I couldn't imagine. I remember seeing Final Fantasy X and Tekken. I want to say it was Tekken Tag 2. That I was like, I've never seen games that look this good. And I was just like, this is where it's gonna end. Every single time I thought like it can't get better, and I can't now at this point can't imagine how graphics can be better than they are for games now. I can't imagine it anymore.
That's why I'm like, okay, where's your next step? Like, where do you go from here? It's like this could look, if I could see the hair perfectly wavy in every little follicle, what's after that? Like then it becomes like part of your reality, and then that's where the AR and the VR come into play, and make it look how it looks when you're seeing it in a 4K TV screen.
The next level of gaming, and it might just be technology in general, but I think when they start to incorporate AR and VR into everyday life, like for example, we'll be in a, when you come home, grab yourself maybe a beer or whatever, you come home, you put on your headset, and you literally are in this other world where you're interacting with people. And I know it sounds scary.
Well, didn't PlayStation try to do like PlayStation Home?
That wasn't VR though, right?
Oh yeah, that was just more.
That was basically that was kind of like the me thing with Wii, like the Miiverse. But when they have that in VR and you literally can walk around, like Ready Player One status. When it's that, it's done.
Jesus.
Or even older than that. Maybe not older, but Dahak Sign. Oh my god. I don't know if people remember that. That was an old RPG, old PS2 RPG, one of the best of all time.
What's it called?
Hack Sign.
I remember that one. Did they have like multiple versions of that, right?
It's 4 Hacks on PS2, and they had each of them come with like an anime too that tells a story that's what's going on in real life. For anyone that's maybe watching this that's a little bit younger, basically it was the original version of Sword Art Online.
So. Ooh, that's a good way to put it though.
Yeah.
And I still haven't watched that. What else has come out recently? I know you and Tony had a list of stuff, which I unfortunately came unprepared.
Oh no, it's totally cool. I know that eventually we need to talk about Game of Thrones. Like I'm ready to talk about that now.
All right, guys. So, gaming, we're done. It might dabble back into it, but Game of Thrones. Oh, Jesus Christ, Game of Thrones. So, for anyone that hasn't seen this episode, stop watching now. Go watch it. Stop wasting time. Watch the episode.
Or watch the episode if you want spoilers.
Yeah. Or if you want to just listen to us spoil and talk about our possible theories, hey, we're here. Alright, so, first off, what did you think about it? If you could describe it in one word, what would be your one word to describe Game of Thrones?
Expectations.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. I was going to say boner.
I think this first episode set a lot of expectations for the season.
Yeah, there's a podcast that I listened to that talks about, well, they're just back now because Game of Thrones is back. And they were talking, the guys always talk about positive, negatives about it. One of the guys actually reads the books, one of them doesn't. So, they have like a lot of yin and yang to their personalities. And the guy was talking about like a lot of, it was kind of like slow, but then at the same time they had to incorporate so much because there's not that many episodes. And I know as the episodes go, they're going to start getting longer and longer. I think the last episode is supposed to be like 88 minutes. Something like that, which I'm just like, fuck.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Like, see, well, that's just me. I like paced shows like this. I like, I've never understood quite when people say, like the show, like this episode was kind of slow. Like, I always think, like, what do you mean? Because it's, like, the same time length. And I'm not sure what that means necessarily, but what I felt was, it set up everything that needs to be set up. It answered questions that I didn't want them to drag on about. Like, yes, just tell Jon now. Because I don't want to be waiting to it's already hype. Like, we already know what's happening from last season. I don't want to wait to episode 5 of the season for them to finally let Jon know that he's Targaryen or something like that. Like, so I'm glad they let those things drop now. So now we can see the aftermath of that. Like, those are things I thought were cool.
It's like we have a checklist of everything. Okay, Arya hasn't seen Jon. What's going to happen when she sees Jon? How are they going to treat Daenerys when she comes to the North? Because we already know the North are stubborn as goats, and they're all about their families and stuff. Jon, how are they going to tell Jon? When are they going to tell Jon about it? I got more excited with the end, with Jaime showing up, but that's next week's talk. We'll talk more about that one. But what's funny is all the memes that were coming out as it was on, the moment it stopped, and like the day afterwards. Like there's a shitload of memes that I was just like dying about because
yeah, the internet's terrible.
it's true, and we're part of it. I mean, the one thing I'm kind of curious about, and I don't know if you remember, is when Arya brings Gendry up a plan to make something. And I've watched it a few times, and I can't figure out what it is that she wants him to make. I'm pretty sure it's something with dragon glass or obsidian, whatever you guys want to call it. But it's like, I just couldn't figure out what it was. It looks like it could be like a dagger that could maybe have some type of something that shoots out, you know, kind of, it makes me think of like, I can't think of it, but they always have like those like pocket knives that had a button and it'll just shoot the blade out. Kind of like some Assassin's Creed type of stuff.
I don't know. I didn't think even too much of that scene. I thought it was just like a sword, but I had no idea. I didn't think. I gotta go back and look at it now.
Yeah, see, like I think I've already rewatched the episode like maybe 4 times.
Damn. Okay.
Because I watched it when it came out, then I rewatched it that same night, and then I was at work and I think I watched it once and I watched it again at home, just because it's just like you can't get enough of it, but at the same time, it's gonna be coming to an end. Like after all this time, and I'm not gonna lie, it took me. When Game of Thrones was out for 7 years, it took me 6 years to get into it.
Oh, I was like that with a lot of things.
Because I've said this in my podcast and I talked to people about it. When I was first introduced to it, the first thing one of my buddies told me was that, for anyone that hasn't watched it yet, watch it, that brother fucks his sister.
That's how he got you hooked?
Yeah, that didn't get me hooked. That's where I was like, why would I want to watch something where a dude bangs a sister? Like, right off the back, like, I'm not into that type of stuff. But then I got really sick, started watching the first episode, and just the intro with the guy getting his head severed and getting tossed at one of the guys from the Night Watch. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
So, yeah, you know what? I did watch Game of Thrones from the very beginning, but I had a little bit of different. So at one point, when you know the Barnes and Nobles that's over in Town Center,
yes,
there used, I used to go there all the time, and I was asking this lady because we'd seen each other so often. I was reading a lot of different books, a lot of Orson Scott Card and a lot of like sci-fi stuff at the time, and I was like, yo, I'm trying to like get something new. I don't want to read any of the authors I've read before. Like I've read everything. Like, what do you recommend? She's like, you should read this Game of Thrones. She recommended it to me. Shout out to that teller. Doubt you'd be saying this, and I don't know at this point if you even live in. But anyways.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. She said pick that up, and I was like, damn, And the thing about Game of Thrones, the cover is like, it wasn't very inspiring, and you shouldn't judge books by cover, as everyone says.
Prime example.
Yeah, prime example. But it just looked so... Like it wasn't a capturing title. Game of Thrones didn't seem capturing. If you didn't know what it was just like Game of Thrones, whatever. But picked it up because this lady recommended it. Brown cover book, I never forget it. It was just like whatever. And I remember, so I had read, long story short, I read 3 of the books before the season came out. Because I ended up loving it. And like before, the first book, once you read the first book, it gets you hooked, just like the first season. Because as soon as Ned dies, you're just like, what? And there's still more in the series. I don't understand because I thought Ned was the main character the whole thing. So just like with everyone else, I got hooked on that. So when I saw the series, I was telling someone, I think it was one of my friends, I was like, yo man, I read these books. I can't believe they're making an HBO series of this. And I'm like, there's no possible way they can make this into a series. I was like, I can't imagine how you make this book into a series. It's gonna suck. Watched the first episode and I was like, they made this like a movie. I'm like, that's the only way they could have did it. And only HBO could have did it. And like, the opening scene of the show and the book, the exact same.
Wow.
Except for the fact that the whites talk in the book. That's the only difference, And I just thought, wow, that was captured amazingly. And it blew my mind. And like that's why I was like, this show's gonna be fucking phenomenal. And it was.
Yeah, because like I like how you say that HBO is the only one that can run it properly because, I hate to say it, but like Walking Dead on AMC, when it first came out, it was decent. It was good. First 2 seasons, it had the ball rolling. I read the comics on those ones. I've only gotten so far on the comics, but the comics and the show does the comics absolutely, like, it does nothing. The comics is always going to be superior no matter what. Just from what happens, different character development, all that stuff. Because I'm very huge when it comes to writing, how they actually write people's parts out, how they develop their characters, scenery, all that stuff. I like to dive into how something's done. Walking Dead unfortunately just started to lose me. Like past seasons were just terrible. Which actually this last season was decent. If anybody wants to jump back on it, Whispers, jump back into it. It has its slow parts, but the Whispers, perfect. But anyways, that's a whole nother segment. So like with Game of Thrones, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. So when I jumped into it and I saw that first scene, I was just like, no way. They can't be doing nothing like this. And then for anyone, like I said, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, the only advice I will give you, don't have a favorite character. Do not pick one and be like, he's my favorite, she's my favorite. There is a possibility you will regret it.
I say that's bad. I say have a favorite character because that's how we all experienced it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Never mind then. I take that back. That's perfect. Yeah. Have a favorite character and let's see how it plays out.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, because mine was let's just say mine had to deal with the Red Wedding.
Man.
I was just like rooting. I was like, yeah, this character, I'm all about it. Like I said, everyone that knows the Red Wedding, like I said, if you don't know about it, you'll know about it.
That's the last book I read. Actually, when I read the third book, which I want to say was Feast for Crows, but I can't remember exactly. That's when I was like, I'm not reading this book anymore because book 1 breaks your heart. Book 2 is kind of bullshit and like ultimately to me it was the worst out of them all. Of the 3 that I read. Book 3 broke my heart again, and that's when I was like, I don't know if I can do this book because this series because I see now that it's just gonna be heartbreak after heartbreak. It's like getting with the same girl and breaking up again. She dumps you. Yeah,
was it dump me once, shame on you. Dump me twice, like shame on me because you went back or something.
Yeah, so great. Yeah.
But so let's go back to this recent Sunday because it was exciting to watch, but at the same time, I guess my brain was open. Okay, how are they going to talk about certain things? Like I'm trying to like go through like the chronological order of it, how it starts. It does start like how the original one was, where in this case it's a boy that's looking to see when the king and queen or whatever are coming in. Before it was Arya. The whole situation, meeting the family and stuff like that. I thought Daenerys played it off well. That she wanted to thank everyone for having her there, and the dragons fly over, all that fun stuff. But there's that tension between Sansa and Daenerys that I'm just kind of like I'm bummed about, but at the same time it's understandable. It's like, okay, she's considered foreign to you because she's not from the north, but at the same time she had like no hostility towards your home or your family. Yeah, she banged your brother, which is also her nephew, but I mean, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone on the set wants to do that.
I think that Sansa has had so many negative experiences. I think she's just like, you seem like another Cersei to me, and that's just how I'm gonna treat you at this point. Like, and like you said, the Northerners are all outsiders, are just no good for them.
Bad experiences.
I thought the more interesting tension development, man, is like, what's gonna happen? It's gonna end up being. Wait, how deep spoilers are we trying to? Wait, are we just talking or?
I said let's just talk about hey. Here we go.
Third warning.
Cut off. Third warning. We're going to talk about the entire fucking show. So want to cut it. Hit the subscribe button before you cut it. Because we're going deep. And we're going deep. Ain't coming back out of that hole. What'd you have to say?
I feel like the tension they're setting up between Jon Snow and...
Sansa?
No. I'm sorry. I just like mind blinked. But Jon Snow and the fucking Dragon Queen.
Daenerys.
Dany. They're setting up something, a contention between them. Because now that Jon Snow knows that he's Targaryen, he's like supposedly the true king. The problem with that is, of course, he's going to have to face Daenerys with at some point. And they've shown him
react.
Yes. And how's Daenerys going to react knowing that she's cold-hearted, dude. Like, people think, you have a sense of you have a sense for Daenerys of like kind of I do at least. I was brought into this thing where like she's I feel bad for her, but she like came into her own and she's powerful, but she's shown to being extremely cutthroat and like she's a dragon, and that doesn't mesh necessarily what they're doing. And Jon Snow is not that. He's about his people, and there is a difference between their two goals. One being about we gotta be about the world right now, and Daenerys is like, I'll do that, but I need to be ruling this. It's more on
first
Cersei's
things
level.
first. It's like me and then everyone else type of ordeal.
Like we'll help you save the world, but are you gonna bend the knee? And that to me is like the ultimate sign of like priorities being different, and ultimately
it kind of gives her like this evilness out of it all. Like, okay,
yeah,
you had good intentions, breaker of chains and all that stuff that you did, but now you're kind of like, especially when they were on Dragonstone, you kind of saw that from her where she's just like, and this is where I was going to talk about with Sam Tarly, which when he found out,
her reaction almost had me like, I was like,
oh, I know, I was like, holy fuck, I forgot he doesn't know yet. And then, they're all talking about, praising him for what he did for Jorah Mormont. And then when they talk about the Tarlys, and she's like, wait a second. And that's when it came out. I'm like, I forgot he doesn't know. And it's like, but here's a funny thing about that. It's not even funny. It's just more of like I noticed is that when she talked about his dad, he was kind of choked up about it, But when she mentioned the brother, you could tell he's like, oh crap, like my brother's dead too.
His sisters too, everyone.
So it's like now for him, I mean, I'm pretty sure down the line, if he does survive, because we don't know who's going to survive.
He will.
He's going to have to live on the name. Like, he's going to go back, and, he's going to live on the name and all that fun stuff. Maybe little Sam's going to go and Lily, and they're going to end up being, in charge of everything from there. And then she has a nice trail that she went from being banged out and losing kids to, hopefully being on the top. But like, just that darkness. I mean, but she did give them an option, though. Like, look, this is how it's going to go down. And it's very, like, Hitlerish of her, I guess. This is how it's going to go down. If you don't like it, then, you're dead, pretty much.
Hey, if you don't bend the knee.
Yeah.
And she said it. Yeah, hey, I told them bend the knee. They refused.
Yeah, because, like, then you can't really get mad at her because, like, if it's your brother and your dad, you probably know how they are. I mean, you saw how his dad was just with the wilding at their table. So it's like, yes, it's sad that they're gone, but maybe part of you is kind of like, well, fuck, maybe they did have a chance because, but he doesn't know Dany too much. But then that's where it comes down to in the catacombs when he talks to Jon about, no, you're the rightful heir, and he talks about, you stepped down from your throne to bend the knee. Would Daenerys do the same for you? That's where I'm like,
it was probably the best line in the entire episode. That line.
Dang. Yeah, that gets me all like, oh, like, would she? Like, what would the tension be like? Like, okay, you just banged her out by a waterfall with dragons watching.
The dragon's like...
No, the dragon's like, get it. I couldn't...
See, that's okay.
That's where the tension comes in.
Right, I'm going to quickly, like, side subject.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's very difficult. I feel like it's based on the viewer. But how did you read that dragon's reaction? When you first saw it,
like he could probably give him some pointers.
He's
like, look, you gotta put your knuckles like this. You gotta really flap those wings out when you're trying to get.
He's like, dog, where's your wings? You're not even
hovering, bro. What's up?
Yeah.
or I don't know. That's a hard one to say because he got to be happy, or I mean, it's like if you decide to go to some chick's house, you bang around, a dog staring at you, and decides to lick your foot.
That's true.
What do you do?
What is that? Yeah. I think you need to, no, but
lick the toe, not the foot.
I feel like when I saw it, I was scared. I was like, damn. I feel like I was Jon Snow. I'd be like, this dragon's like sketching me the fuck out. Like, and I feel like the dragon, it starts because of course the entire time you're thinking like the dragons and Daenerys, they have like a mother-children thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm not even sure. Like maybe the dragon's actually like more like protective.
Like, mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, obviously not like romantically. I'm just saying like the dragons are more like. I feel like it could be. It's a little different now, and like I don't know. It's weird.
It's like you're banging a mom with the baby crib just chilling right there. that's completely off. But I mean, yeah, man. Like I said, it's just I don't know where it's gonna go with it. And then another thing we're talking about too is Arya and the Hound, like how the Hound's like, oh crap, like there's a reason why you're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bad bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be real, you're cold. But then when she sees Gendry, she walks away from him and gives him that look like, what's up, baby?
Like, we older now.
I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm 18 now. We good to go. I mean, I don't even know if she's 18 yet. I mean, like in the age. Last time we found out someone age was like what, Sansa, before she got married to Tyrion.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
Nobody,
age doesn't matter at all.
Not in this series.
If you bleed, you're ready.
Well, just the fact that this is one of the comparison to say.
I know that sounds gross, guys, but I mean that's just how it is.
Like biologically, but like. The books for sure set like they showed that they told ages, and everybody in this series is at least like 4 or 5 years older because there's no possible way. Daenerys was like when she first got with Khal Drogo she was like 15 in the book, and so it was obviously that adds a whole different layer to it because the whole there were people that were being like, man, she's still kind of like young, and that's exactly what her brother was like. Daenerys was like. She's bleeding, like she's a woman, like this is it, and it's a whole different context. And Sansa's even younger than Daenerys, so it doesn't really. I think by like a year or two, but like everyone in the series has to be older because otherwise the shit's way more brutal. The only person that they probably kept the same age, sadly, was what's the king that was in the Iron Island? Not the Iron Islands, but
Which one?
Robert Baratheon.
Oh, like the Fat King?
Not Robert, no, his brother.
Oh, Stannis. Stannis Baratheon.
They kept his daughter. What's her name? Shiri.
I don't remember. The one with the face.
I can't remember, but they kept her probably the same age, which sucks because it's like she got burned. And like that was one of the most hurtful things I've seen in the Game of Thrones too in the series. I'm glad I had to experience that in the book because it's probably been worse. But
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they like detailed it in like more like gruesome or anything like that, where it's just like, you did what?
Yeah, when that happened, I was hurt, bro. Like
screams is what got me.
It's hurt.
Oh god, I mean there's so many things in the show where I'm just like, fuck. Like the thing that made me laugh the most is I saw online because I'm like kind of just nitpicking the episode.
Yeah.
Was Cersei's talking to Euron about, like, he says, like, all this that he's done, all he wants is, like, a taste type of ordeal. And then she goes, if you want a whore, buy one. If you want a queen, earn it. Or earn one or something like that. And I saw a meme, was like, all the girls are going to start using that now? Like, you want a whore, go buy one. I was just like, I was cracking up. But, so, I want to talk about that really quick, and there's another scene I want to talk about. But, so the whole thing was Cersei, and Euron, my kind of mental ball with it is that I think she slept with him just because she knows she's gonna pull a Robert Baratheon type of thing. You already know the kids are brothers. How are you gonna cover it up in the future? Oh well, so and so saw Cersei's with Euron in her bed.
I don't think she even cares about that anymore. I feel like she just came out about her kids, like doesn't give a damn anymore.
Yeah.
Remember, like in the last season, she slept with her brother and like.
Oh yeah, and she was like, she didn't care like who knew.
No.
I'm queen. Like, I'll do whatever the hell I want.
And everyone else already knew too. I feel like she played it the smartest way, which is like everybody knows we're not even gonna make it a thing anymore. But of course, I hate how she treated you. Well, it's so complicated because of course incest relationship. My first thought would be like, I just don't want to root for this at all. But at the same time, like. Jamie becomes kind of a likable character. Oh,
I love his character development. It's
great. He was one of the best arcs.
Yeah.
All of them, all three of the siblings, the Lannister siblings have to me great character. Even Cersei, in the way that she develops too, like great character arcs. But
now speaking of the siblings, now let's throw Bronn into the mix.
Well, I want to remind you, you did say you had something else to bring up besides this one.
That's this one.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about. This is the other scene I want to talk about. Now, Bronn getting the crossbow. Joffrey's old crossbow to take out the brothers. What are your takes on that? That he's going to get paid bank to go and assassinate the Lannister brothers.
Bronn won't do it.
On the same boat. I'm in that same.
And I don't even think it's about loyalty, but he made a comment and was like, she's fighting for the wrong side. I think Braun knows. He's smart enough to know, like, he's throughout the series, too, he's mentioned so many times about, like, being on the winning side versus losing side of a battle. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't, not everything is... to that. Yeah, and not everything's super personal to him. Like, it's not like he's like, I have a loyalty to Tyrion. You know what I mean? Like, he gave that up at some point, too. Mm-hmm. It's just more of, like, he knows he needs to be on the winning side, and that's just what he's going to do. They gave him the crossbow, and I think... Nothing about that, though. Game of Thrones, nothing is so easy, you know? Like, so I even think, like, everything is kind of a conspiracy. I even imagine, like, Bronn takes the crossbow, and maybe he... I don't know, like, maybe he... They know he's not going to... Like, maybe they know he has loyalty, you know? Mm-hmm. And they're using that to get closer. I don't know.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I think, like... Because he says it... And he talks to Tyrion about it in the episode before when they're walking to, like, the dragon's, like, area. And, you know, I think Tyrion tells him, like, you know, I feel like you're, you know, that you're thinking about changing sides and stuff like that. And then he goes, remember what I told you, no matter what they're paying you, I'll pay double. Mm-hmm. And that's what he was always talking about, having a castle and all that. And he doesn't even get that anymore because
they took,
everything's getting taken away from him.
Broken promises.
I'm seeing the shadows. I'm like,
what the hell's going on? Oh, is that what it is? Maybe the door's closed, huh?
6:40. If anything, though, text or call. Oh, wait, my shit's on airplane mode.
I did just get a message.
You want to check it really quick?
No, not really.
Yeah. If they'll knock, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, we can. There's edits. That wasn't. Okay, it was Discord.
Okay. So, I mean, that's one thing I was thinking about, too, was Braun, like I said, talking about, you know, his side and stuff like that. Even though I feel like he does have that soft spot for Tyrion. And, you know, and he's helped Jaime develop to who he is as a knight now with his left hand. Like, with Cersei, it's just, okay, that's just money. You know, okay, that's good enough, you know, but what else have you done for me? As far as, you know, I kind of see it like you can't trust her because you can already see that she's willing to kill her family. What would she do to you now? You know, what if you were to do the job and then she cuts you out? She's a queen. Do whatever the fuck she wants.
Never showed a cart of gold outside that he was supposedly promised.
Yeah, they just talked about it.
Yeah. So.
I was trying to think. There was another scene. I mean, we pretty much like
we missed.
Dissected.
We haven't talked because we've been going through all the characters right now. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about. The Greyjoys. We haven't talked about.
Oh yeah. I think because theirs was the Greyjoys was just very quick, like just to kind of tell you. Okay, this is what's happening with them really quick. All right, let's get out. Let's go on to the next part.
Well, I do like... See, this is the reason why I like that. And I told you the episode just felt like nothing but a setup to me. Because I do like the fact that they were like... The two opposing ideas were like, I'm coming to rescue you. And she's like, you want to go help the Starks, don't you? He's like, yeah, kind of. And she's like, look, like... If the wall fails, they're going to need somewhere to go where the Whites can't cross. Which we've seen the Whites get across dumb shit. If you can get across...
And they have a dragon now.
They have a dragon, and if you can get across, and that's cool that everyone kind of knows, and they're... And Bran. Oh, we haven't talked about Bran. Like, Bran's interesting this episode.
Oh, God. The creeper.
With the Greyjoys, I like that they set up, like, yo, the Iron Island is going to be a place that they may need to retreat to, and, like, there needs to be someone there for them. We'll open... So I like that that's an alliance. We're kind of figuring out where the sides are lying, you know? And I think that's... But what do you think about Bran?
Oh, Bran, dude. He's... I feel like he's like that creepy cousin that you don't want to be affiliated with, but then he has a lot of knowledge. And, like, I think just the way they incorporate him in every scene, it's just kind of like if you were doing something and all of a sudden the camera's going to pan out and you see him just that dead stare, bowl cut, just staring at you, you know? I'm going to, you know, just for a post, I'm going to put it like this, and just going to have a picture of him staring up. But it's like, when I was listening to this podcast, they were talking about, you know, if Bran could supposedly see the future. But I was like, from what I remember, what he said is he can only see what's happening presently and in the past. That's all he could see. So he could, like, see, you know, I mean, also he's a warg. There was even a comment, like, what if... see, this is where we start going to theories. Which, I don't know if I want to start dabbling into theories yet, what it could be in the future.
I'm ready for theories.
Let's just say, Bran, you're a creep. Creepy, you're in your wheelchair, you're creeping me out. But, so one of the theories is that, like, what if Bran is able to take over one of the dragons. Because since he could do like animals and people and stuff, what about a dragon?
I mean, that's it. Given there's a line somewhere in season 5, 6 where they tell him you'll never walk in, but you will fly. You know, and that I'll never forget that line. Oh
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
part.
I'll never forget that line because that's like, to me, that was literally the first thing I thought. Like,
Holy
so he's gonna
crap.
he's gonna work into a dragon. It has to. Like, that has to be the thing.
I mean, they could be talking about the birds too, though. That's him flying.
That's true. I
Because
hadn't even considered that.
when he sees, I think it's the episode where they try to pull one of the things, something like that, and he sees all the White Walkers, and that's when they get scared because that's when he gets caught by the Night King. That could be it too, but I mean, I picture what if he was a dragon, just flying high, chilling as a dragon, all happy, yay, look at me, like I'm burning fire.
I think that's what's gonna have to be because I think one of the whites, you know, one of the whites is a necromancer, super powerful. So he's like already amazing. Night's King, and they have like, you know, a whole crew of them. And I think there's a theory, if we're talking theories with Brian, that
he's a Night King.
Yeah,
I've heard that one plenty of times.
There's that one. I've heard that he's Bran the Builder, like he actually goes back in time somehow eventually. And I think there's proof for that because they show when he uses his work, like his abilities to like kind of look back in the past. Remember when that time where he went back and looked at Ned, and he kind of said something, and Ned kind of looked back like, "What the fuck?" Mm-hmm. I feel like that's him being able to actually affect stuff, and so he's actually gonna go back and be Bran the Builder. I don't know, but that's just a.
What's Bran the Builder? I don't know anything about that. Is that like the book thing?
Yeah, it's in the book, but I feel like they must have mentioned in the series, but it doesn't matter. Bran the Builder is basically the person that built basically started building Westeros, like kind of like started everything off. The basic. He's like George Washington to America kind of thing, and like maybe not George Washington, maybe like Christopher Columbus. I don't know. So
one of those people that started something.
It's a lot more prevalent in the books, and I know for sure that this show's dropped a lot of stuff from the book. They're not going to go over everything, and maybe that could be a thing that's dropped because ultimately I don't know if that's important, but we just seen that his powers can have somewhat of an effect on people, and like. Mm-hmm. And even if it's in the past, and so if that's the case, that's one thing I've heard is he's Bran the Builder. One other crazy theory I want to bring up is that I always thought from the very beginning that all of the Stark kids' direwolves are connected, like deeply connected. Mm-hmm. They seem to share the same fate. When one of the direwolves dies, one of the people dies. One of the kids die. Or vice versa. Mm-hmm. One of the kids die first, the Stark kids die first, one of the direwolves die. And Arya goes off and becomes like her own thing, and so does Nymeria. Jon Snow and... I know where you're going with this. Okay, so...
Keep going.
Where I'm going with it is that right now we know the only two wolves that are alive are Nymeria.
At 6:47 on April 17th, you're telling me this stuff. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know.
This.
And this is the thing. I've never seen this theory yet. That's the thing. Like, I feel like it was so obvious. In the books, for sure, it seems obvious because the way that they find even in the show, the way they find the direwolves, they even say like, "Oh, how crazy! There's one for each of you," and then there's none for Jon Snow, and then they find the runt, and they're like, "Oh, there's a runt too." And well, Jon Snow can get it. He's the bastard, so like kind of works.
And but then Snow, the parent's dead.
The parent's dead.
Hold on, guys.
That's it.
Pause this really quick. Hold on.
It was getting juicy.
I know. Hold on. Alright, back. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, keep going. Because whatever you're saying, I know I could piggyback off of that.
Okay.
And I know where you're going kind of with it.
It's just I'm basically saying I think there's a bit of foreshadowing. And obvious foreshadowing. There's two wolves left that I can think of, Nymeria and obviously Ghost. Mm-hmm. And so here's what we have. Sansa's still alive, but her wolf is dead, which is why I think
that's the lady.
Which is why I think Sansa is going to die. That's one. I think that. I hope not, but Ghost might become a white in some way. He already looks like one, and it'd be hard to tell. So like it'll be like a shock kind of factor when he comes on screen and like oh, and it's actually a white and you don't know because he's already white with blue eyes. So, but. The only reason I even think Snow could become a white direwolf is because Jon Snow died. He got killed. but he came back to life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes sense for Snow to get killed but come back to life as a white. And that's how it happened. Just with this theory, if this is true, I don't know. And then
I like it.
the only other one is, like I said, Nymeria versus Sansa. Nymeria versus
Which one?
I'm so bad at names. The youngest, the daughter.
Arya.
Arya.
Mm-hmm.
We see Nymeria go off and form her own wolf pack, right? In the show, it came later than in the books, because the books, it happened earlier. She found, there was a lot of people townspeople talking about, there's this like giant ass wolf that's gotten all the wolves together in like a pack, which doesn't happen like that usually, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Sansa is either going to be, if they don't show Nymeria die or something, I think Sansa is going to be, she's going to form like an Assassin's Creed type pack of thing. Like, that's what her future is going to be. I think she will survive because Nymeria is still out there. And I don't know what the connection between Jon Snow and Ghost will end up being, but I just know that there's got to be something there. They both will follow that same path. That's why I think that you'll see Ghost, but he'll be white by the time he comes back.
Well said. Now, I started thinking about the Sansa thing when you started talking about the wolves. I was like, well, yeah, hers died in episode 1 or 2. I think it's 2.
2, yeah.
And she's still alive. And I was like, well, it would make sense if she were to be the one off, because that would kind of throw Jon and Arya into like a berserk rage, where they're just going to go off and just, who knows what's going to happen after that. So I would say the one theory that I've talked to people about this one was that Arya could if this happens, I swear to God, I'll lose my mind, that Arya could possibly have the face of Littlefinger and will go to King's Landing as him to assassinate Cersei. She is on her list.
Okay, so that could be dope.
Yeah.
Cersei is the last one, and I think that's what it's going to be, but I hope that Sansa gets to do it for Cersei. But anyway, I hope that gets to be the thing. Like, I've been waiting 10 years to see Cersei get it. But anyway, no, I think Peter Baelish is still alive.
No, he got his throat cut.
Did he?
Yes.
So.
Oh, here we go.
So, if you go back and watch last season, there was a quick scene right before he went to go talk to Peter. Like, Sansa came out to try to talk to Peter Baelish. Peter Baelish is from Braavos, first of all. He grew up with the Starks, but he's from Braavos. He should know all about the Faceless Men. That was part of his culture originally. The thing about it is, at that moment, when there's a time way back, like episode 1 or season 1 or 2, when Peter Baelish is talking to what the bald-headed guy eunuch, what is his name? Varys.
Yeah.
And they're talking, and he's like, "What's your end game in all this?" They're talking about their own end games, and Varys is like, "Hey, kings come and go, but as long as we're like staying kind of like, as long as we can keep things kind of above a certain level and there's no war, that's like what I'm good for." And Peter Baelish, Peter Baelish is kind of like, "No, war is inevitable. Everything's gonna go down.
Chaos is a ladder."
And he says, "Someone needs to rule over the ashes." That's Peter Baelish's whole thing. Now, I remember him saying that.
I just watched that too.
And the thing about it is that in that last season, there was a scene where before Sansa could talk to him, Peter Baelish is talking to someone. They don't tell him what the conversation is, but you see him give the guy something. And I think it's one of the coins, the coins of the Faceless Men. And I think Peter Baelish knew that he was going to get killed. He just knew that. He was like, you know what? After my time here, like, I already know my time's probably up. And I think there's a Faceless Man that took Peter Baelish's face, and I think the Faceless Man got killed in his place. I think that someone sacrificed their life for Peter Baelish because he paid something for it, and that he's in the cut because I don't know what's going on in River Run, if there's still people in River Run, but he could easily have gone back to River Run and nobody would have known, or if River Run's not in that, if he's not.
River Run got
I can't remember.
They got taken over by the Lannisters. I think that's where like the Blackfish was at.
So it could be possible Peter could go back, but I think I think it's possible he could be alive and that a Faceless Man took his place. But it's Game of Thrones, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean,
but go check that scene, dude. I don't think Peter Baelish is done, man. Like, check that scene. He straight up was handing something, and I really swear it was like a coin.
Well, I wish Tony was here, because Tony was talking about one time that he thinks Varys could be possibly top, like, notch. Like, a lot of stuff that he says is very evil. But then there's a scene last season where Varys talking to the Red Woman, Missandei. I always get her and Melisandre.
It's Melisandre.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they're talking, and then she, calls him Spider, and says that, I can't go anywhere because, I have to die here, as do you. It's like, she's pretty much saying, like, if she saw it in the fire, like, you're gonna die here. Like, we're both pretty much gonna die here. Like, that's how it's gonna end.
I think that's true.
And I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I think the only person that is guaranteed to live is Sam. Someone has to tell a story of this whole thing. I almost feel like the entire thing is narrated by Sam. Like, he's a scribe. Makes a lot of sense. Someone has to pass on the history.
So for sure, Sam is. Don't worry about him.
In my
He's
opinion,
good to go.
I think.
Yeah.
He's the last
surviving. I could see that too, though.
I could. And the books are called A Song of Fire and Ice. And people know that about Game of Thrones. They just call the entire series Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is only the first book title.
And they always say that, people will sing songs of, like, certain, like, events that happen.
Yeah.
So, I never thought about that with Sam.
I just feel like maybe he'd be the one, and I don't know who else, but, like, I feel like Sam will live. Everyone else has to die, but, like, Sansa, I think I think Arya will live. But I don't know who else. Just them two.
I don't know. I mean, Jesus.
I think Jon Snow's. I think everyone else has to die. If anyone else lives, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, what is it gonna be? 6 episodes, right?
Is it only 6? Is that what they said?
Is it 6?
10, right? At least.
No, I think it's gonna be like 6 to 8. I don't remember. I have to look at it. I mean,
it's not enough. Is the point?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
8?
Producer says 8. Like I said, we'll double check everything. If you guys know, I mean, be sure to let us know.
It's not enough. Regardless.
Start pointing fingers at us like you don't know what you're talking about. But like I said, this is pretty much theories and what we thought about the episode. Like I said, if you haven't watched it yet, make sure you guys watch it like ASAP. Because, I mean, if you haven't got this far in the video, then that means you watched it.
Ideally.
You're probably yelling at your screen, phone, whatever it is, Like I said, whatever we talked about could be wrong, but it's just our opinions. Huge fans of it, so, I mean, we just have to wait another few more days to get that itch to see what happens next. I mean, as of right now, yes, sorry, one of our buddies is in the back. He doesn't know, so we're trying to cover it. As of right now, for anyone that's listening, this next episode is going to prep you for episode 3, which is supposed to be I might be wrong, the biggest and longest cinematic fight in like cinematic history.
I've heard that. Like surpassing the fight from that like
the Battle of the Bastards and stuff like that. But supposedly it's supposed to be the biggest fight ever. So, oh man!
I just want to leave you guys off with a fun fact.
Ooh, fun fact.
2019, not fact, just a fun thing. 2019 is going to be an amazing year for entertainment. Jesus, we have the end of so many things. We have the end of Game of Thrones. We have the end of the MCU like
Avengers
saga.
Stuff. Oh, Jesus.
MCU is going to end up being like, this is only Dragon Ball Z. Then Dragon Ball GT or Super's coming next, which is MCU Super, and it's going to be a whole other thing. But this is the end of something significant with the original Avenger cast, blah, blah, blah. We have...
Bring on Galactus.
Hashtag Bring on Galactus.
Hashtag Bring Galactus. Go ahead.
There's a lot happening this year. So many things in gaming, so...
I mean, that's why, to be honest with you, I'm glad that we started this because, like, there's, like I said, whether it's something small, like just a little game or something like that, up to something huge like Game of Thrones, there's always something to talk about, be discussed, and get opinions on, We all have opinions, whether they're right or wrong, it's always nice to talk about what's a possibility or what's actually facts. So like I said, if you guys have any questions you want to ask us, if you want to shoot one of your theories, feel free to, leave it down in the comments below. Just kind of go from there. And like I say, as of right now, you'll be seeing an episode from us once a week. Wednesday seems to be like our go time. So maybe this will be up tomorrow, Thursday or Friday. But as soon as it's up, hopefully you guys enjoy. Hit the subscribe button for some more cool, fun stuff. And I think that's pretty much it, right, man?
I think so. You can let us know how you wipe your ass. Whether or not you at least hold one cheek open or you just go straight down with the toilet paper.
You hold one cheek open.
Are you trying to get in there or are you trying to...
I know. I thought the question was going to be, do you fold the paper or do you crumple it?
Yeah, all of that. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments
Let us
below.
know.
You know, because I ain't gonna lie, I'm semi-interested, like about 15%.
Semi-interested, yes.
But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. We'll catch you on the next one. So,
All right.
peace out.